Hello everyone. In this video, I'll go over how to create a frequency histogram in Excel using Excel 2016. This method has several benefits in that it's the fastest method because it has the least number of steps. It also automatically formats your histograms bars and your horizontal axis labels. So it's very efficient as compared to the other methods. However, it has a couple of cons. For instance, it only works for Excel 2016, which is a pretty sizable limitation. And also, it does not provide a frequency distribution table, just the histogram. However, it provides you with, and I'm about to show you how to do that, it provides you with the classes frequencies, and you can use them to generate that table yourself, the frequency distribution table. So let's go uh, over how that works. Our first step is to highlight our data set. So we make sure to highlight our data set and we go to Insert. On the charts, we pick the middle option, which is Insert Statistics Chart. And in there, under the histogram option, we pick the left option. And just like that, we have our frequency histogram. However, the default number of uh, classes is 5 classes. Here, for instance, we were asked to use 6 classes in our histogram, but that's something we can change quickly. So we just need to right click here in the bottom, the horizontal axis, anywhere, right click and then select the format axis option, which brings up this menu here. So in this menu, you're actually able to change the number of beans. Beans is another name for classes. You can change that from 5 to 6. And you can also change the class width or bean width. Currently, it's a decimal number. Let's set that to be a whole number. So 38 is a nice number, nice round number. One more thing I would like to point out here, as far as this method goes, is the fact that the labels, the classes names are labeled in such a way that they pretty much look like intervals. If you're familiar with how we write intervals, so an open parenthesis means that number does not belong to that interval, but a bracket means that number belongs to the given interval. So here you can notice that the same numbers show up in consecutive classes. So that's something you need to pay attention to. Here, for instance, 121 belongs to the first class, but does not belong to the next class. So the next class could start or begin at 122. And this one could begin at 150, 160, and so forth, and so on. So that's something you should pay attention to when it comes time to uh, putting that frequency distribution table together. So, which we're about to do anyway. So, one more thing we need to mention here is that something I mentioned earlier, you can grab the classes frequencies. All you need to do is right click on your histogram and then click on Add Data Labels. And just like that, your frequencies for each class show up in your histogram. Of course, you can you can add labels, right? If you click on you double click on your histogram, here on the left hand side, if you go to Add Chart Elements, you can add axis titles, right? Vertical axis, horizontal axis, and let's go ahead and do that. So let's label the bottom one times in seconds. oops, and the vertical axis, let's label it frequencies. The chart itself, the title, still McDonald's lunch service times. So just like that, how frequency histogram is done. Now let's create the corresponding frequency table. So we have our lower class limits and upper class limits, as well as the frequencies, corresponding frequencies. So first class limit, the first class goes from 83 to 121. The next 122 to, and by the way, we know that the difference between two consecutive LCL, lower class limits, or UCL, upper class limits, is our class width, and we set out to use a class width of 38. So this difference between this number and that number should be equal to our 38. Currently it's 39. That's if we use 122 as the second class. The second class is lower class limit. So that should be 121. So that's how we figure out that 120 is actually a part of the first class. So the first class will go from 83 to 120. And in order to get the next lower class limits, we will add class width 38 to the previous lower class limits, so that once we copy that pattern down, we end up with our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lower class limits. For the upper class limits, we do the same thing. So add to the previous class limit, previous upper class limit, the class width. And we make sure to lock that cell in with the F4 or the $2 signs, so that once we copy that pattern down, we end up with our different classes. And at this point, we can just copy our frequencies from the frequency histogram. So I hope this helps you work this out. See you on the next video. Thank you.